although you have informed us that there are only 8 students from Kerala, but I should greet in Malayalam. Elavarkum ente vandanam. First, I would like to express my profound gratitude to Dr. Unnikrishnan Nair and the Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology for the honor you have conferred on me to deliver the 9th APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Lecture. At the outset, my heartfelt tribute to the sacred memory of Bharat Ratna Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, our former president and founder chancellor of this premier institution, which is dedicated to the study and research in space science and technology. We know the history of this institute. It was established in 2007 by the Department of Space, and it is Asia's first university exclusively focused on space, offering undergraduate and postgraduate and doctoral programs in space science, aerospace engineering, and avionics. This institute is a concrete realization of the vision of Dr. Abdul Kalam, who was chosen to be its first chancellor. I am aware that this lecture has been instituted not only to commemorate Dr. Kalam's contributions, but this also serves as a platform for intellectual exchange and collaboration in pursuit of knowledge in the true Indian spirit, tapa swadhyay nirittam, ever devoted to the pursuit of knowledge. I understand that people who delivered the lecture in the past, be it Dr. V.K. Saraswat, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabuddhe, Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma, Dr. K. Kasturi Rangan, or Dr. V. Radhakrishnan, they all have made remarkable contribution to the field of science, education, and other areas as well. I am perhaps the only non-scientist or non-expert to have the honor of delivering this lecture, which encourages me to dwell on how Dr. Kalam seamlessly bridged the areas of advanced technology and sublime spirituality. He believed that the fusion between science and spirituality shows the way ahead for humanity, which is in Indian tradition is described as Gyan Vigyan Sahita. Here I would like to refer to 2 important episodes which explain the mind and approach of Dr. Abdul Kalam. Dr. Kalam had developed a special bond with Pirmukh Swamiji of Akshardham of Gujarat. During a meeting, Dr. Kalam asked Swamiji, how do we transform a developing country into a developed one within the next 30 years? Then he said, we have identified 5 important areas: education, healthcare, communication, infrastructure, and critical technology. To this, Swamiji add one more: faith in God and developing people through spirituality. This remark of Swamiji impacted Dr. Kalam deeply, and he described the moment, he himself has described that moment as divine presence. Secondly, I would like to refer to his address to European Parliament, where he expressed grave concern about the unwholesome acts, referring mostly to violence and terrorism of certain misguided sections of the society, almost in every country. He emphasized the need to find lasting solution for promoting peace. He said, to build peace, it is necessary to, these are very important words. He said it is necessary to cultivate goodness and wholesomeness, which is described in India. Mind the words. He says this goodness and wholesomeness in India is described as righteousness. Then he recited few lines of a poem. I am not sure, but I feel that this is his own composition. Where there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. When there is harmony in the home, there is an order in the nation. There is peace in the world. Then he said, how do we evolve righteousness in the hearts of every citizen of the world? And suggested a methodology which he named evolution of enlightened society, which according to him will have three components: education with value system. I am quoting from his speech only. Religion transforming into spirituality. Economic development for societal transformation. Now, if we look at these observations closely, then we shall have no doubt that Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam had deep understanding of Indian cultural and spiritual ethos, and the solution he suggested originated from age-old Indian wisdom. Here Dr. Kalam uses the term righteousness, which comes close, very close to as translation to describe dharma, which is often erroneously translated as religion. Here I may refer to an anecdote to explain that actually dharma has been mostly used as righteousness, righteous acts. Therefore, to explain that, I would like to refer to an anecdote from Mahabharata, that in our tradition, the term dharma has generally been used in the sense of righteousness and righteous behavior, righteous actions. Several years after the Mahabharata war, the Kuru elders, Dhritarashtra, Vidura, Gandhari, along with Kunti, they decided to go to renounce the palace life and go to forest to live a life of meditation and austerity that is described as Vanprastha Ashram. Decision created commotion, and the Pandavas pleaded with their elders to retract their decision. But Kunti and others were firm and set out on the journey. The Pandavas, the 5 Pandavas, prostrated before the mother, and at the time of saying adieu, parting, Kunti told Yudhishthira, Nirvat swa kuru shresht bhim siya dibhi saha dharmete dhyatam buddhi mansate mahadastu cha. She tells actually Yudhishthira, please take back along with Bhim and go back to the palace. You have responsibility. You have to run the administration of the kingdom. Therefore, you go back with your brothers. And then she says, O best among Kurus, let your reason and will be established in righteousness, dharma, and let your heart and mind be big. So, when Dr. Kalam is addressing the European Parliament, he is using the term righteousness, and traditionally our culture has used the term dharma for righteousness. Elsewhere, it has been asserted that the purpose of dharma is to secure for all living beings freedom from violence. Now recall the words of Dr. Kalam. He is expressing his concern about the violence and terror in which many misguided sections of the society everywhere in the world they indulge. So here the purpose of dharma is to secure for all living beings freedom from violence. Therefore, whatever has the characteristic of not doing violence is dharma. This is certain. Ahinsarthaya bhutanam dharma pirvachanam kirtam yasyad hinsa samprikta sa dharma iti nishchaya. Whatever has the characteristics of not doing violence, not putting fear into the mind of anybody, fear of violence, that is described, that is certainly dharma. So dharma is righteousness, dharma is freedom from fear of violence, and thus dharma becomes instrument of holding the society together. Dharna dharma mityahu dharmena vidhirta pirja yasyad dharana sayukta sa dharma iti nishchaya. The word dharma is derived from verb dharana. It is dharma which holds the people, the society together. Hence, if something is able to hold us together, it is certainly, definitely, it is dharma. Now, the three components, how to achieve this, how to create these enlightened citizens, enlightened society. Dr. Kalam, first component was education with value system. In the light of our cultural legacy, we can appreciate better what method Dr. Kalam was proposing to the European Parliament to ensure the evolution of the enlightened society or a peaceful world. The first component of this methodology, as suggested by Dr. Kalam, is a system of education which, apart from formal instruction, imparts a sense of moral and ethical values among the students, the pupils, which brings refinement, grace of mind, refinement of soul. This is exactly what ancient Indian thought leaders had prescribed how the young people are to be educated. In fact, they asserted that for a truly educated person, for a civilized being, there is only one joy in life. Eko rasa karuna eva nimitti bhedat. They further warned us that those who are learned, but they lack a sense of values, moral and ethical values, like compassion, empathy, and love, they run the risk of degenerating themselves into brutes. Their attitude and actions are often marked by intellectual arrogance, spiritual crassness, and coldness of heart. And it has been said, Saksharo vipri tatve rakshaso bhavati dhurvam. Howsoever learned you may be, but if you lack that sense of moral and ethical values, particularly compassion, I'm repeating it, compassion, empathy, and love for your fellow being, then you run the risk of degenerating yourself into a brute. Then the second component of the methodology which Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam suggested was religion transforming into spirituality. This is very important. If you look at the world civilizations and cultures, and this is, please, do not presume that it is a criticism of any other culture or civilization. Every people have a right to develop according to their own genius. We have to understand who we are. The Indian civilization and culture, when you look at all these civilizations, then you will find that world over civilization, human beings cannot live in isolation. They live in a society. They have to live in a society. And to live in a society, there must be some basis to create cohesion and unity in that society, harmony in that society. What should be the basis for the cohesion, harmony, unity of that society? So how the civilizations, what basis they found? You have civilizations which are defined by the color of the skin, race. We belong to, and we have seen how the world was colonized. I'm not criticizing, I'm only here as an observer. I'm stating something which you can find in every history book. How this colonization of the world happened. We are of this color, we are superior, and therefore we have a right to we will say that we have come to civilize you, but we have a right to rule over others. Then civilizations were defined by language also. Then civilizations defined by faith tradition also. God is only one, but how you give expression to your devotion to that God, they vary, they are different. So the basis was that we belong to one faith tradition, we give expression to our devotion in the similar way, therefore that should become basis of our unity and cohesion. As opposed to this, how the Indian civilization, since time immemorial, right from the Vedic times, has been defined. Indian thought leaders rejected all these variable and alienable characteristics like race, like expression of your faith, like the language which you speak as the basis for creating unity. What they chose? I will try to explain by giving an illustration. Shankaracharya, Adi Shankara, more than 1,000 years back, when India was totally politically fragmented, there were, even at the time of independence, there were more than 600 princely states. So we do not really know how many states were there during the time of Adi Shankara. He goes around the country, establishes 4 mutts, and then we generally say, you will often hear this, that Shankaracharya, at that time when India was politically fragmented, by establishing the 4 mutts, he created a sense of spiritual and cultural unity all over India. But unity is not brought about by buildings. In fact, monuments of mind are more powerful than monuments created by hand. What is not generally discussed is that Adi Shankara took 4 Mahavakyas from the 4 Vedas and gave 1 Mahavakya each to these 4 mats which he had established. And what are those Mahavakyas? They have almost the same meaning. Aham Brahmasmi, Tat Tvamasi. The divinity which dwells in me, the same divinity dwells in you. I am Atma Brahma. The spirit itself is Brahma, the supreme spirit, the eternal. Prajnanam Brahma. Wisdom is Brahma. Prajna. Prajnanam is Brahma. So, I have given this illustration to show that right from since the inception of our civilization journey, our thought leaders much before, because Adi Shankara had only taken these Mahavakyas from the Vedas. So right from the time of the Vedas, the Indian thought leaders rejected the alienable and variable characteristics to define Indian civilization or Indian culture. Instead, they used the invariable and inalienable Atma, which is the common inheritance of not only mankind, but of all sentient beings. And therefore, the Indian civilization, when Deho Devalaya Prokto Jivo Deva Sadashiva, when you see the divine in the other Tattvamasi, that Brahma is in you, once you train yourself and you internalize this message, how is it possible that for you to step on the feet of the other person? Dr. Kalam has many times mentioned in his speeches that India was invaded, India was exploited, Indian resources were looted by others, but we never had such designs and we never committed aggression on any country. It is not because as human beings we are better than others, no. It is because our cultural values, our civilizational values, when we see divine in everybody, it does not allow us. It does not allow us to have any aggressive designs against anybody. So here again, when Dr. Kalam is talking of religion transforming into spirituality, religion means certain prescriptions. Spirituality means where you transcend those boundaries and you look at everybody as you see everybody in your own image. That is what, and then you can, time is not much at my disposal, but we know that Dr. Kalam, not only, he used to read not only a Quran every day, but he also used to read Bhagavad Gita every day. And from there, you can keep quoting one verse after the other. Yoma pashyati sarvatra sarvam chamai pashyati. Tasya hamna pirnashyami sacha mena pirnashyati. We all have eyes, but Gita tells us that the person who really sees is one, who sees that one in everybody and everybody in that one. That person alone has the vision, and that person is never separated from me. Me means here when the term me is used in Bhagavad Gita, then it refers to the Supreme Spirit. then such person is not separated from me, and I am not separated from that person. Or there are so many other samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthintam parmeshwaram vinashyat suva vinashyantam ya pashyati sa pashyati. Now here again the same thing. Who sees samam sarveshu bhuteshu? Who sees that Supreme Spirit equally in everybody? Vinashyat suva, we are all, this body has its own age. So we are, from the day we are born, we keep progressing or marching towards the day when this body will perish. So here the Gita says that who sees? One who is able to see the imperishable in the perishable. That person alone has the vision. So, I mean, when Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam makes this an important ingredient of his methodology, then surely he must have, as I said earlier, that he had deep understanding of Indian spiritual and cultural tradition. And in fact, I would like to quote one more verse, because that is one of my favorite, where it has been said, Yada bhuta pirthak bhava mekasthamanu pashyati tat eva cha vistaram brahma sampadiyate tada. And when one realizes that all this diversity, in this hall, so many people are gathered, no two faces are alike. Not even the faces of children who are born from the same parents. And not only that their faces are not alike, their taste may also differ. They taste in food, taste the colors which they like, that may also differ. So when one realizes that this state of diversity of living beings is rooted in the One, it comes from the One, and their manifestation is also that, then one becomes identified with the Supreme Spirit. And the third component which Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam mentioned was economic development for societal transformation. Basically what he meant was that as human beings, we are not supposed to live just for ourselves. We have to be, earlier I was talking about compassion, empathy, love for your fellow beings. What does that mean? That means that, in fact, I was reading somewhere, it was very interesting that here in India, people use, men use tilak and women use bindi. Nowadays we feel, you call it bindi, Shantiji, or you call it something else? The one which you are using, bindi. I thought in Hindi it is bindi, maybe in Malayalam it may be different. Though I was reading somewhere, it was such a beautiful explanation. It said this was meant to be an adornment of the men or women. The tilak and bindi was meant in the morning after taking bath, you stand before the mirror and put it on your forehead, reminding you that you are the only species in the world who have been blessed with big brain. The trait of the animals is, animal lives for herself or himself. Human beings, they have been given big brain. They are blessed with big brain. They cannot live simply for themselves. It was only to remind oneself every day. And Dr. Kalam is talking about it. He wants to create that consciousness, that awareness in our minds, that whatever energy we have, whatever knowledge we have, whatever time we have, or other blessings which we have, we have a duty to share it with others. In fact, there is a beautiful anecdote from an Upanishad where a question has been raised that what are the essentials of a good life? When this question was asked, then at that time there was some clouds, and the sound came da 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 from the clouds. Then the Rishi asked whether you have got the reply. The student said, "Sir, you have not given any reply so far." He said that the reply has come from the skies. And the reply is, "Tade tade vesha devi vagnu vatati istana yitnur da 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 damyat datta dayatvam." He said the essentials of good life are 3 Ds. Damyat, self-restraint, control over your desires. Daya, datta, charity, giving to others, sharing with others, and dayatvam, that is compassion. And I was recently, I realized that although I had read that verse many times earlier, but recently I realized that what strong words have been used in Bhagavad Gita to bring this point home. In one of its verses it says, "Ishtan bhogan hiva deva das yante yagya bhavita te dattan apir daya ebhya ya bhunkte istena eva sa." The meaning is that the hard work you put in, the industry, the austerity, the self-discipline, everything you do to achieve the desired objectives of enjoyment, the nature gives you those objectives of enjoyment. Gita is saying they are the result of your hard work, of your industry. But in the second line it says that all these blessings which come to you as a result of your yajna bhavita, nourished by your hard work, all these blessings, all these objects of enjoyment which come to you as a result of your hard work, if you enjoy them without sharing them with others, then Gita uses very harsh word. It says that such a person is like a thief. What is, as I said earlier, Dr. Kalam was an ardent. He pursued this Indian wisdom, and he must have been influenced by all these things. Here I would like to conclude by, I have already taken the time, but one point is there, that when Dr. Kalam or all these our great scholars who are sitting here, or at the ISRO establishment and everybody, when a question comes to mind, and many a time this question is raised by people, that if India swears by non-violence, India swears by peace, even this speech of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the purpose is, objective is to ensure peace in the world. Then why we are engaged in arming ourselves? So here, first I would like to quote Dr. Abdul Kalam, where he says that his strength respects his strength. Secondly, we should not make this mistake that belief in non-violence, belief in peace means that we stop gathering strength for ourselves. We have one of the oldest civilizations in the world. We have a way of life. This way of life does not allow us to have any aggressive designs against anybody. But at the same time, it obliges us to be capable to have enough capacity to defend ourselves, to defend our way of life, to defend our culture and civilization. If we in the past we ignored, sometimes neglected this aspect, and we paid a heavy price for it. The Indian tradition is prashta sasharam dhanu. Agarta chaturo veda prashta sasharam dhanu idam brahmam idam chatram shastradapi shastradapi. You should have to the fullest extent the soft power. But at the same time, you should also be armed. First, in order to make people understand, first use the power of argument. But if the power of argument is not heeded to by the aggressor, then you should be in a position to repel them by physical force. This is the Indian tradition. Therefore, when we are, I'm very proud of this institution. I'm proud of all the establishments under the ISRO, and we have such great respect for, right from Vikram Sarabhai, Professor Satish Dhawan, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, and other scientists who have now, as our Prime Minister repeatedly says, that progressing towards prosperity means that we should be Atmanirbhar, self-reliance. And these are the scientists, these are the institutes who are doing real hard work to make us self-reliant as far as our defense requirements are concerned. So, once again, I would like to pay my tribute to the memory of Dr. Abdul Kalam, and would like to give my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nair, his colleagues, and all of you for the gracious words which you have used for me, and for giving me this opportunity to share my views on this profoundly important personality of our times, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, his vision and wisdom. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu, valre nanni, jai Hind.
I would like to ask your opinion on a way to integrate traditional Indian knowledge system with today's modern knowledge system.
We have this great tradition of Gyan Vigyan Sahita. Now Vigyan you can describe as the modern knowledge, more scientific knowledge, and Gyan is the spiritual aspect of the knowledge, where your tradition asks you to know about your own self. So basically, even in developed countries today, they are feeling the need and they are highlighting it to give more space to liberal education. What is liberal education? Liberal education is the same, where human value, you introduce courses or training so that you can imbibe human values among the pupils. So even very, very advanced and developed countries, they are also feeling the need to have, and they have named it liberal education. So we have to, Dr. Radhakrishnan in one of his speech has said that wisdom comes, science is absolutely essential. If we want to progress towards prosperity, absolutely essential. But science must be accompanied by wisdom. And wisdom comes more easily through the study of classics, through the study of scriptures, through the study of philosophy. So that aspect must also not be ignored.
All sectors of the society, what are the steps that you feel are useful?
The whole purpose of setting up these institutions, educational institutions, is that whatever new ideas, the new research you come with, that must be, as they say, from laboratory to field. This is what they say, that from lab to field. The whole purpose is that our people should take, the common people, all this knowledge should be employed to improve their standard of life, their way of living. Our research, if it does not, we have so many, for instance, we have so many agricultural institutions which work, they do research work in agriculture. So if that research does not help the Indian farmer to increase the production, then of what use it is? So is the case with every other branch. I think government, the universities themselves, the institutes, they are also having interaction with the common people. So that awareness should be there, and we should do as much as possible so that the benefits are percolated. Thank you.
And I just wanted to ask one financial question. Recently we had this budget allocation in which 1 lakh crore was allocated for innovation and R&D. So what are all the areas specifically, like, which can be mentioned specifically, are being allocated in this under this innovation?
I'm your question, because I have never, no, not just today that I'm not dealing with the finance ministry, but even in the past, I have never dealt with the finance ministry, and even as a student, I have not pursued economic studies. I was quite fearful of economics. Therefore, please excuse me, I won't be able to, but if you send me something in writing, I can refer it to Honorable Finance Minister and ask her to send a reply to it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Shivani, a third year BTech student in IIST. My question is, how can the collaborations between public and private sectors be improved so that it will finally benefit the society and improve the standard of living in rural areas? Do you think the government can provide any incentives for government-based companies like BSNL?
But government is taking many measures in this direction. I know I won't be able to give you details, but I know that government is very keen on this, and it started long time back when we identified certain areas in the public sector where disinvestment took place, and it was handed over to the private sector, and even otherwise, the government has been very keen on this strengthening this cooperation between public and private sector. But if you have any ideas, you can send them. Honestly, I'm telling you, because it's all a question of ideas. If you give some bright idea, then I'm sure they will entertain it and they will try to implement it. You can send it to me, you can send it to the finance minister directly.
Sir, relating to your vast wealth of spiritual knowledge, how do you justify the existence of a God with all of the modern scientific knowledge that we have today? How does that fit into the picture? I know it is a typical question to ask, sir.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll give you a very small anecdote,
Yes.
which I hope will satisfy you. Dr. Radhakrishnan, who our former president, he was appointed as ambassador to USSR. And Dr. Radhakrishnan was a teacher of philosophy. He had a spiritual bent of mind. Already his writings on these subjects were very popular when he went to Russia. Russia was a communist country, publicly proclaiming that they do not believe in God. So in his first meeting with Stalin asked him, he said that Dr. Radhakrishnan, I do not know whether you are going to be here now for some time because you are India's ambassador, but I do not know if you will enjoy your stay here. Because you are a philosopher, you are a spiritual person, you are a believer, and we are non-believers. We don't believe in God. Dr. Radhakrishnan said, this is the Indian idea of, I would say, faith and belief. Then Dr. Radhakrishnan said, no, in my opinion, you are a believer. Then Stalin said that, how can you say that? I'm saying I'm a non-believer, and you are saying that you are a believer. He said, I can prove it right now. He said, prove it. Then Dr. Radhakrishnan said that you believe in truth. You want your people to be truthful? He said, of course, we want that. You believe in goodness? You want good things to happen to your people, to your country? You want to develop it? He said, of course. Then he said, you believe in beauty? You want your country and your people to have beautiful conduct, beautiful way of life, etc., etc. He said, of course, we are working for that only. He said, for us, that is the religion, that is the belief. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. And the Indian concept of God. God is not, religion is not about worship of some distant entity. It is inside you. It is inside you. If you have faith in yourself, then you are a believer, you are a faithful. If you have faith in yourself, if you have faith in the divinity of the other person, and then you will not, by any stretch of imagination, you will not cause any hurt to anybody. To us, that is the religion. Sarva Shastra Puranishu Vyasasya Vachanam Dharmam Parokarastu Punyay Papay Parpirna. That is all religion and belief in God.